Hello, hello, it's Kevin here. Time for a video, another one. First things first, as always, disclaimer, fair use, non-profit teaching, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So what we're looking at today is test number 4 from Cambridge 11. As you may or may not know, we're looking at all academic writing task 1s from Cambridge, for the IELTS test. So we started with Cambridge 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. This is the last one this is test 4 from Cambridge 11. After this, we'll be moving on to Cambridge 10 and so on. When 18 finally comes out in July, we'll be working on that too. But until then, it's 17 down to 1. So, like I say, this is test number 4. So I wrote a sample, and as you may or may not know, Ashdown Pro group on Telegram, we post a task, people respond, and we do a commentary. Okay, so quickly show you this one. I say this is Cambridge 11 test number 4. Visitors to Ashdown Museum before and after refurbishment. Yeah, so you've got a table and a couple of charts. Okay. So as you can see, I mean this one's relatively easy. It's just listing information. There's not a lot to actually do here. For the table, that's pretty easy. Obviously, that's increased. The surveys before and after are interesting because what you can do here, you can combine, like you should, like information. So if you look at, we've got very satisfied, satisfied, dissatisfied, and very satisfied. So the number of people who were not satisfied, you can add dissatisfied and very dissatisfied to get a single figure. So here you've got 40%. Oh, sorry. 40 plus you've got 40% dissatisfied, 10% very. So you've got half were not satisfied at all. And afterwards, that figure is down to 20%. Okay? And if you look at the number who are satisfied or very, you've got, let's look at it, 30, 15, 45. Post refurbishment, that goes up to 75%. So 3/4. So that's the key figures. That's the information that you can use there. So as I keep saying, you have to do that usual 4-paragraph structure. Part 1 is pretty easy. It's just the table shows blah blah blah, etc. You just need to paraphrase a little bit. Okay. Visitor number to Ashdown Museum before and after, pie charts depict survey results of visitor satisfaction during the same years. Okay. Overall, it's clear. In general, visitor numbers increased. That's for the table. While for the chart, visitor satisfaction in general also increased, and that's basically it for the overview. You don't really need to put a lot else there. And then looking at the details, this is just for the table. There's nothing else you can say. It went up from this to this. Interestingly, paragraph 4, this is the one that takes up most of most of the writing and the word count, because this is the one that's full or filled with data. So as you can see, I grouped these. Like I said, people who were not happy in general was 50%. However, after refurbishment, it went down to 20. So from 50% to 20%. And then this turnaround in response is mirrored by a considerable number of those who responded with satisfied and very satisfied. 10, 50%, 40%, 35%. And then just mention that last one. Interestingly, no response remained unchanged. So, it's like I've said before in previous videos, it's what's the key trends, what's the biggest, what's the smallest, what can you group, what's grouping like information. etc. So that's 202 words. I could have made it shorter, but it didn't take long to write. Introduction took a minute or two. The overview, again, there's not a lot there, is it? That's gone up, that's gone up. And then paragraph 3 was easy. The paragraph that took the most amount of time, like I say, as we can see here, is paragraph 4, because that's one that's got more figures and data. But anyway, so you've got a logical arrangement of information and a progression, which is something that I'm always speaking about. Now let's have a look at yours. Now I'm not going to change every single word. I'm not going to rewrite everybody's writings, but let's have a look. I might make some changes though, so we can see. Okay. Provided table illustrates a figure or figures. Visitors, before enough it was. Now, renovated is not refurbished. It's kind of similar, but it's not the same. If something's fallen down, it's renovated. Refurbishment means like changing the curtains. It's not strictly the same as renovation. So you need to be careful there. Renovated, you know, like I say, if something's falling down, but that's not necessarily the same as refurbishment. That just implies changing the carpets and the curtains. If you refurbish your apartment, it's not a renovation. You're not tearing the walls down and redoing the electricity, or or the wiring. So you need to be careful there. Pie charts compare the presentation of results. Simply compare the results of surveys of visitor satisfaction. 5 significant categories. Okay, you can put that. Overview. Can be observed high proportion belong to the after modernisation, true for before refurbishment. It's a long-winded way of saying it went up after refurbishment. Well, of course the opposite was true. So, okay, so this overview doesn't really work. Okay, so we need table and charts, right? So, highest proportion. So the number of visitors increased after refurbishment. Okay. Also, the number of dissatisfied people went down. The number of people who were satisfied went up by quite a lot, quite a high margin. Then you've got this little thing, that's only 5%. So how is that a key trend or feature? So that overview doesn't really work. It's not identifying the main trends, key trends or features. It's just not. So why are you starting with what is irrelevant or marginal? That seems a bit of a waste of time. Though dissatisfied, so right, there's no logic to this. I'm not going to rewrite it, like I say, but there's no logic. There's no organisation. Usually you start with the biggest, and you move to the smallest. That's usually how it kind of works, yeah? This is the biggest, this is going down, this is in increased, etc. This seems to be jumping up and down. Check my deals, still decline if 50% of the opposite tendency with the number of visitors. So why wouldn't you do like I did? Do the table first, because that comes first, then look at the charts. So that needs a fair bit of reorganization, I would say. Well, the table comes first, so why don't you talk about the table first? Organization. The table's first, the pie charts come afterwards. Difference in satisfaction percentage. Okay, that's good. Illustrates total number of them. So, right. You need all that you need for the introduction, like I say, is just what does it show, right? The table shows this, the pie charts show that. That's it. Overview, key trends, right? that went up, and that went up even more. And that's it. Okay, so this one here, you've got an overview. How can you have an overview at the bottom? Because an overview, if you think about it, overview, it should be over the rest of the data. Kind of why it's called an overview and not an underview, if you get my drift. When the pleasure, that's not the same as satisfaction. The amount of them also escalated. Escalated? The amount of them? Those that don't care, I'm saying nothing about any redecoration. Right, and you're not supposed to make any kind of supposition as to why the data shows what it may or may not show. It doesn't mean that. You can't prove that. All it means is that 5% didn't respond. You know, maybe they were walking out and they couldn't be asked to fill in the survey. That's all it means. 5% of people did not respond. Maybe they didn't want to. It doesn't necessarily mean that they thought about should it be renovated, refurbished, redecorated or not. They just simply didn't answer. So that wouldn't work, really. First pie chart, obviously the major chunk was dissatisfied. Okay, yeah, that's true. All right. A rising in the enjoyment percent. Right, you need to be careful with synonyms. Satisfaction is not necessarily the same as enjoyment. Okay, it's kind of a synonym in certain contexts, but I wouldn't change it here. Enjoyment percentage. Enjoyment percentage. So that doesn't really work either. About the effect of a number of visitors. Okay, all right. Yes, that's kind of what it does. So you could just say it's visitor numbers, but okay. Now, repairing, not the same as refurbishing. Right, if something's broken, snap, and you glue it back together, that's a repair. If my bicycle, the wheel falls out and things start to fall off it, I can repair it. That's not the same as refurbishment. Refurbishment means something like, putting some new paint on the walls, some new carpets, some new curtains. That's what or some new kind of cushions for your settee. That's what we usually mean by refurbishment. It's not renovation strictly, but it's certainly not a repair because it's not broken. Things grew up or simply grew. More closely at the table. The renovation led to increase the numbers by 18,000. Okay. Now, you don't usually put figures in the overview. You don't need it. It's just what's the key trends and features. So, if you do it in that way, that's better. And then turning to the pie charts, dissatisfaction 40%, figures experienced a sharp drop. Okay. Transfers went up, renovation made no change, and response. Yeah, okay, well that's not bad. That's not too bad at all. Okay, yeah, not too bad. I think that's the best one so far. The below table, well, it's not below, is it? The table illustrates the business dashboard. During repairing of that, it wasn't broken. It was refurbished. A new coat of paint, new pair of curtains. Not repair. So apart from that, okay, where's the overview? Overview. No overview. Can't see one. No overview. So you will be automatically getting a low task achievement score with no overview. The criteria, which I won't show you now because I show it in nearly every single video, clearly states that to get at least 5, you must have a clear overview that clearly defines, highlights or outlines the key trends or features. And I can't really see one here. is this supposed to be an overview? It doesn't really say so. But then you've got figures and data, which you don't need. So, that's gone up. That has gone up also. You could maybe say dissatisfied went down. So that's it. There's like three key features there. First, maximum value. A value of 10%. Satisfied. So that needs some work also. It was rebuilt. It wasn't rebuilt. It didn't fall down. You could only rebuild something if it falls down. If my house falls down or is blown up, then I can rebuild it. If I paint the walls, get some new cushions or a throw over for the sofa, get some new curtains, that's refurbishment. I'm not rebuilding. So you need to be careful. Be careful here, right? Watch your synonyms. Now, overview, increased. Right, that's better. Okay. To begin with, it has to be, why does it have to be mentioned? Simply, 74,000, afterwards 92,000. So where's it going to tell me this before reconstruction? Who are passengers? A passenger is someone who takes a ride, like on the bus or on the train. So it's visitors. Okay. And in sharp contrast with museum reconstruction, there's a high sense of visits. Right, so this is, again, this data is a bit of a jumble, and there's no logic. I can't see one. I can't see a logical progression. It seems to be a bit of a jumble. So you've got increase of 18,000. So you mentioned that 74,000. Okay, and then I've got to wait right till the bottom before I find out that it actually increased, made progress. So it's a bit of a jumble. You need to get a clear, logical progression, a coherence. Shall I show you again? Yes, I think I shall. So let me find it. New band descriptors come out in May. Publicly available, so blah blah blah, not for profit, etc. So general training, right, academic, right. So academic key features, recounting of detail, right. Few key features. You need an overview. What else does it say here? Response, academic key features. Where are we here? So right, to get at least A6, a relevant overview is attempted. Right? You can't even get 6 unless you've got an overview. Key features are covered and adequately highlighted. Information is appropriately selected. So, overview. How do you select the key features? Okay, so this is why I keep saying overviews are important. Message can be followed effortlessly. Well, message can be followed with ease. Well, in most of those it couldn't, because it's such a jumble. You've got this figure and that figure and this year and that year and this data. There's no logical progression. Look, information ideas logically sequenced, logically organized, clear progression. Back to front, biggest to smallest, smallest to biggest. However you do it, it's got to have a logic and a progression. Yeah? If you don't, 5, not arranged coherently, 4, oh dear. So you can see why it's important to have a progression. You've got to have it. That's just how it is. So I hope that helps. I'll just leave mine there for you to see. Just make it a bit smaller so you can get it all on the page. So introduction, don't waste time, a minute or two at the most, right? The table, graph, chart, map process illustrates or shows this, it shows that, it's in this year, it features blah, blah, blah. More important is the overview. Keys, trends, that's gone up, so has that. I could have put something about dissatisfied going down, but maybe I could have done, but I didn't have time. I tried to do it in 20 minutes, but there is a progression, there's a logic. You've got the table first, right? So there's no point in comparing table and chart because they're not the same. It's incompatible. So, do the table first, which is, again, it's a sentence. Looking at the details, it went up from this year up to that year. That's it. There's nothing else that you can say. And then the survey, like I say, what can you group? What's the same? What's identical? So the people who were not particularly happy was 50%. However, a year later, it was only 20%. This turnaround is mirrored by the satisfieds, or very satisfied. If you combine them, it's 40%. And then at the end, what did I say? 40 for 5. So the number of people who were satisfied in general is 75, which is 3/4. So that's it. Key trends and features, and then just mention that if you must. It's a sentence. No response remained unchanged. So yeah, that's basically it. That's all I would do there. Okay. So hope that helps. Link to Telegram, my profile below, and I'll see you next time. Cambridge 10, we're starting on that this week, so hopefully we'll get some responses and a video or two. I say Cambridge 18, we're looking forward to that. That should be coming out in June or July. As soon as it is published, we shall go and buy our copy, and we'll be looking at that also. Okay, so I hope that helps, like I say, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.